My name is Lauren Davina, and this is a story time about the one single skill that might make you the smartest person in the room. It's also the one skill that might stop society from completely losing its mind. And I learned it from a toddler fighting about snacks. My son's name is Render, and my partner's name is Reno. The other day, I was folding laundry. I was like super low in energy, almost just depressed, like the literal word, just sort of pressed down or something. And I was having one of those deep, languishing thoughts, kind of like, how many loads of laundry will I be doing in my life? Is there a better way to save energy and water? Just those thoughts that you're like, I'm appreciating this, but I'm also exhausted. And in the background, I suddenly hear Reno say, no, in a firm, daddy kind of way. In typical toddler fashion, Render had thrown a handful of cereal across the room because he had decided he wanted goldfish instead. And what Reno said next stopped my ruminating, depressive mind and gave me an idea for this video. The lesson Reno was teaching our son is basically the core of my entire value system. He says to Render, hey, you don't have to throw cereal just because you want goldfish. You can just ask for goldfish. You can hold two things in your mind at the same time. That's it. That's the sentence. That you can hold two things in your head at the same time. Now, Reno and I say this to each other constantly. We say it when we argue about politics. We say it when we argue about technology. Sometimes we say it when we argue about whose turn it is to take out the trash. But the idea behind it is serious. Two things can be true at once. And the older I get, the more I realize that this ability might be the single thing separating people who understand the world from people completely lost in it. This idea shaped most of my career. When I studied art and design, there was a principle from a legendary individual that was in design and advertising and marketing. His name was Paul Arden, and he wrote a book that is my personal Bible. It's called Whatever You Think the Opposite. At first, it sounds like a joke or hyperbolic or irrational, but it's actually a creative weapon. When you learn cinematography or design, you are taught the rules. Eye level, balanced frame, clean composition. But sometimes the right shot is the one that is the most wrong. For example, if you want to shoot sadness, you're not going to take a flat 50mm lens and shoot a clean, normal shot with bright lighting. If you want to show sadness or anxiety, sometimes you go really tight with a wider lens, and suddenly the face and the emotion feels distorted and uncomfortable. You have thus brought the viewer into your story. Great acting gets us a lot of the way there, but it's great cinematography that allows for the viewer's imagination to truly engage. Filmmakers like Darren Aronofsky do this all of the time. The wrong lens is often the most right one. The same thing happens in character design. Look at Woody from Toy Story. His proportions are ridiculous. His legs are absurdly long. His walk is exaggerated. It all should look strange. Instead, these features make him look expressive. The advantage of being a character designer is you get to basically invent emotion from scratch. The proportions and the lensing is what drives that character's energy. Breaking rules always reveals something human. Reno works in technology, and the same pattern shows up there. His mantra is, failure is the path to success, and to always question your assumptions. Breakthroughs rarely come from following the rule book. They always almost come from somebody asking a dangerous question. What if the opposite is also true? This habit of thinking spills into how we see the world. Politics, technology, culture. Everyone online seems totally convinced that their side is the correct one and the other side is just completely insane. And the reality is, it's almost never that simple. Last December, I was in New York for a board meeting at the Art Directors Club. One of the people on the board is the legendary John Maeda, former MIT professor, former RISD president, now corporate vice president of AI and design at Microsoft. We were reminiscing about RISD, and the conversation turned to the co-founders of Airbnb. The co-founders went to school with me. They were the kind of people that never stopped building things. They ran all the student groups, all of the organizations, RISD and art school. Well, they ran the sports teams. We had the balls, basketball, naturally, and the Nads for the hockey team. I believe they were called this so we could say go balls and go Nads respectively. And I kid you not, our mascot was a giant One of the co-founders of Airbnb seemed to be even more involved than everybody else in every project on campus. He was in charge of all of the incoming students. For our college graduation gift from the school, he designed it. It was a crip bun. A crip bun is literally a foam pillow shaped like a butt, so people with no padding could survive sitting in hour-long critiques. RISD was a strange but beautiful place. Anyway, this co-founder of Airbnb has recently taken on some strong political points of view. John Maeda and I were talking about it, and I said something that surprised him. I told him, I honestly don't care where the co-founder of Airbnb sits politically. Not because politics don't matter, but because I know what kind of person he is. This guy, back then and especially now, is a builder. Builders wake up and try to improve systems. Sometimes they break things. Sometimes their creations cause problems. Airbnb certainly changed the housing market, but the instinct behind it was to build something better. John paused and then quoted something I had never heard before. The test of first-rate intelligence is the ability to hold two opposed ideas in the mind at the same time and still retain the ability to function. That line is from F. Scott Fitzgerald. The moment he said it, something clicked in my brain because it perfectly described what Reno and I had been joking about for years in our kitchen. Hold two ideas. Right now, the world feels like it's tearing itself apart. The other day, my mom asked me a question that honestly terrified me. She asked if the government might be using AI to tell a version of reality that might not be true. And the honest answer is, none of us really know. Information is moving faster than ever. A bus catches fire in Switzerland and the entire world knows about it within minutes. But speed is not the same thing as truth. In a world like this, the most dangerous thing we can do is to pick a side and then stop thinking. Just like Paul Arden's book, we need to do the opposite. Question everything. Question the media you consume, question the people you agree with, question yourself. That is not a weakness, that is intelligence. It is the same thing we are trying to teach our son Render. If a toddler throws cereal because he wants goldfish, the answer is not panic. You explain the system. You can have both. You just have to ask. The world is not always a binary choice. And if Render grows up in a world where everybody is screaming each other online, I hope he feels confident enough to listen to both sides before deciding which one he believes in. Not because we want him to become some disrespectful, rebellious person with a villainous arc, but because we want him to be secure. A person who can hold two ideas in their mind at the same time is very difficult to manipulate. Maybe this alone will not create world peace, but it might stop the world from getting a lot worse. This channel is new. If you found this interesting, please consider liking and subscribing. I want to keep exploring these ideas publicly with all of you. If you agree, great. If you disagree, even better. Come argue with me in the comments. I'll be there. Bye for now.